Drug Administration, or FDA, oversees the safety and quality of seafood. The FDA sets strict regulatory requirements, inspects seafood producers and importers, assesses seafood offered for import, and works with foreign regulatory partners and industry to advance good practices internationally. By adopting a global approach, the FDA helps safeguard seafood in the United States and worldwide. However, importers are ultimately responsible for the seafood products they import and ensuring their foreign suppliers and products meet FDA requirements. This video outlines those requirements and what to expect during the FDA importation process. Come with us as we guide David, a first-time seafood importer, through the best practices for importing seafood into the United States. Know the requirements. Each country has its own set of rules and regulations for importing. In the United States, U.S. Customs and Border Protection governs general import requirements. Importers must also comply with the requirements of any federal agency that oversees the product. FDA-regulated seafood is reviewed for admissibility at the time of import. If your product is found to violate FDA's laws or regulations, it may be refused entry. By ensuring your products are compliant prior to importing, you can help avoid refusal, additional enforcement actions, or other costly delays. Let's help David learn about FDA's requirements. The U.S. Code of Federal Regulations, or CFR, contains all federal requirements. FDA's food regulations, including seafood, are found in CFR Title 21, Parts 1 to 199. For seafood, this includes food facility registration, seafood safety practices, nutrition and labeling, additional requirements for specific products, and prior notice requirements for importation. FDA Seafood Compliance Program manuals are also a great resource. They provide information for FDA staff performing facility inspections and evaluating imported products. David can use these FDA manuals to help audit his foreign suppliers' facilities and processes. They will also help him prepare for potential import examinations and sample collections. David should also review FDA's compliance policy guides. These policy guides provide clarification on specific regulatory issues. For example, CPG 540.370 describes the FDA's current thinking on decomposition in seafood and the criteria for when the product would be considered in violation of FDA law. These and other guidance documents can be found on our website at www.fda.gov/seafood. Now that we've shown David where he can find the regulations he must comply with, let's explore some of these requirements in more detail. Food facility registration. Any foreign or domestic facility that manufactures, processes, packs, or holds food for consumption in the United States must be registered as a food facility unless an exemption applies. David should confirm that each of his manufacturers and processors have an active food facility registration number. If not, they can register free of cost through the FDA Industry Systems portal on fda.gov. Seafood safety practices. Safety and quality are the responsibility of each individual involved in the processing, transport, importation, and distribution of seafood. This includes ensuring the product is processed under sanitary conditions, using facilities, practices, and controls that meet the required regulations and safety guidances. Let's review these requirements and David's responsibilities as the importer. Seafood HACCP. Seafood processors must establish and follow a Seafood Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point, or HACCP system. HACCP requires processors to conduct a hazard analysis to identify and control biological, physical, and chemical hazards related to seafood products. Following this system can minimize the risk of foodborne illnesses or injuries. The specific HACCP requirements for processors can be found in the regulations at 21 CFR Part 123. Seafood importers must verify that their suppliers follow these requirements. David must establish written verification procedures for each supplier's product. The procedures should include the product safety specifications and the affirmative step that will be used to confirm the product was processed in accordance with the Seafood HACCP requirements. Importer requirements and options for performing the affirmative step can be found in the regulations at 21 CFR Part 123.12. The importer can choose one or more of the steps and must assure the product meets the requirements of the regulation. David must maintain his procedures and records of the implemented affirmative steps at his business for up to 2 years. The affirmative step records must be in English. If he is inspected by the FDA, he must present these documents for review. Failure to produce adequate records may result in FDA compliance or enforcement action against his firm and products. Other food safety regulations. While HACCP is the primary means for producers to achieve seafood safety, it is important to note that the FDA has additional regulations for food producers. Seafood processors should be aware of the requirements in 21 CFR Part 1 and Subparts A, B, and F of 21 CFR Part 117. These regulations set forth additional requirements for training, record keeping, facility, and good manufacturing practices. The FDA has published a helpful guidance document called Seafood HACCP and the FDA Food Safety Modernization Act, which explains these requirements. Another aspect of seafood safety is proper identification and labeling. Let's review these requirements next. Nutrition and labeling. David should work with his suppliers to ensure his products are labeled appropriately. This includes a statement of identity, the net quantity of contents, a list of ingredients, and the name and place of business of the manufacturer, packer, or distributor. Seafood packaged for retail must also include a nutrition facts panel. All required information must be in English and contain an allergen statement when applicable. It is also important to note that seafood and seafood ingredients must be identified on the label by the acceptable market name or common name recognized in the U.S. These names are listed in the FDA's Seafood List database. Food labeling requirements can be found in the regulations at 21 CFR Part 101. Additional resources are available on FDA.gov, including the Food Labeling Guide, the Seafood List, latest changes to requirements, and other guidance documents. Other requirements. Further requirements may apply to specific types of seafood products, such as low-acid canned foods, acidified foods, and certain shellfish. Low-acid canned foods, such as canned tuna, and acidified foods, such as shelf-stable pickled fish, require a separate registration and process filing. To import these types of products, David must obtain the processor's Food Canning Establishment Number, known as the FCE, the product's Process Filing Submission Identifier, known as the SID, and the dimensions or volume of the product's container. This information is required at the time of import. Raw bivalve molluscan shellfish, such as oysters, clams, mussels, and roe-on scallops, also have additional requirements. The FDA participates in the National Shellfish Sanitation Program, or NSSP. Under NSSP, imported shellfish must be harvested from a country that has a cooperative arrangement with the FDA. Importers should also verify their shipper is on the Interstate Certified Shellfish Shippers List. This shippers list can be found at fda.gov/NSSP. A quick note about import alerts. David should also review FDA's import alerts. These alerts identify products that appear to be in violation of FDA laws or regulations. If these products are offered for import, they will be detained without physical examination. This is known as DWPE. If the importer can show that the product is not violative for the reasons listed in the alert, it may be allowed into the U.S. Otherwise, it will be refused entry. David can review a list of current import alerts and more information about DWPE at fda.gov/import-alerts. Once David has conducted the necessary verification activities and is confident his products meet U.S. requirements, he may begin the importation process. Declaring the shipment. When David is ready to import, he will arrange for the shipment of his products to the United States. He is required to declare his products to U.S. Customs and Border Protection and the FDA for admissibility. Most importers hire a licensed customs broker for this process. A broker can help David navigate the complex import process, electronically declare his shipment data, and communicate with federal agencies on his behalf for a faster and more convenient submission. David will need to provide information about the shipment and the products being imported. This also includes the manufacturer's food facility registration number and any other required data elements, such as the FCE and SID when applicable. A full list of required data elements can be found in the FDA Supplemental Guide, available at fda.gov/imports. In addition to the shipment declaration, the FDA requires advance notification of all food that will be arriving to the U.S. This is called prior notice. Prior notice allows the FDA to help protect the public against an attack on our nation's food supply or other public health emergencies. David can file the required information at no cost in the prior notice system interface, or his broker can submit on his behalf. More information is available at fda.gov/prior notice. The FDA admissibility process. The FDA reviews all FDA-regulated products offered for import. The agency utilizes risk-based electronic screening tools, physical examination, and sample collection to help make admissibility decisions. The FDA may also request documents to verify electronically submitted data or request other information to help determine a product's compliance. Products that are ultimately found compliant will be released, while non-compliant products may be refused entry into the United States. David can monitor his shipment status, submit documents, provide exam locations, and obtain notices of FDA action on the Import Trade Auxiliary Communication System, or ITACS, at itacs.fda.gov. You can find a more detailed discussion of this process in our other YouTube video, Importing FDA-Regulated Products, the Import Process. One last note, David might consider applying for the FDA's Voluntary Qualified Importer Program, or VQIP, a fee-based program that allows qualified importers to import with greater speed, predictability, and ease. Where to find more information. To learn more about importing seafood, the general FDA import process, and special programs like Seafood HACCP or VQIP, please visit the FDA's website at fda.gov/imports. You can also find the links mentioned in this video in the description below. We look forward to helping you bring safe and compliant seafood into the United States.